I don't know if I'm supposed to black this out or not, but we'll leave that right there. Hey everybody, it's Grumpy Baker. And today, finally, I suckered somebody into doing the podcast with me. This is Kiley.
Hi, I'm Kiley. I've been baking cookies with Kevin for a few weeks now.
Yep, those yummy chocolate chip cookies, because I don't like baking cookies. And when you're a baker, you choose your what would you call it? Your section of baking?
Yeah, everyone's got their own vice, you know? Like, when you're an artist, you're either a painter or you like, you know, colored pencils and drawing and whatever it may be. You've got your own little...
Your medium.
Yes.
That's the word,
yes,
medium. So hers is cookies, mine's bread, which are both available at the website. I just got that up. Going pretty good again.
Yep.
At first the cookies were about that big, but now they're like the size of my palm. So you can go to the website and order those cookies. Also, we're thinking about putting together a little combo bread cookie box, right?
Yeah, like a little bundle deal.
Bundle deal, and I was thinking about that.
Save everybody on some shipping fees.
Yeah, I just got to come up with what would be a good price for that bundle. What do you think? So it would cost $17 for the bread. What is it, 24 for the cookies? Mm-hmm. 17 plus 24.
Oh man, I'm not good at math.
Whatever, I'll work out some kind of good deal for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was kind of cool is Kylie had come in with her mother-in-law.
No, just my adoptive mom.
Oh, her adoptive mom. And she said, I bake cookies. And I had stopped cookies at that point, you guys know. And she said that she'd bake cookies. And I'm like, why don't you come and bake some cookies? And then I found out this young lady is a conservative. Or conservative in a lot of her thought processes. Wouldn't you? That's surprising to know that the majority of people out there actually have some rational thought, especially the youth left.
You know, I feel like a lot of my generation isn't even leaning right or left anymore. They're all just like...
They're like, whatever.
They're like, we're done with the government completely, you know. We're done with all of the labels and the groups and...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see everyone pulling apart from those parties and not wanting to necessarily be a part of one anymore.
Yeah, you know, when I had drove around the country, like, there were a lot of people that, like, you know, this is how I feel about this issue, you know. I don't think people should be telling people, hey, you need to be vaccinated, you're going to lose your job. But there's other issues that are considered left-leaning that I believe in too. You know, like if Peter and Paul, if they want to go walk down the aisle, it's not my business. You know?
Exactly.
I think that's what they like to do. They like to put us in these boxes, you know, just kind of like I did.
Well, it's like if you have one idea that leans one way, they automatically assume that every other thing about you aligns with the stereotype. So, like, if you say, oh, I voted for Trump, there's a lot of people that will just automatically assume that you're racist or you're ignorant or uneducated and that you're just there because you want the Cheeto guy. But, like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, we put people in boxes and stuff, and that's what I've realized is I'm kind of a Massachusetts conservative, you know. Mm-hmm. Back east, I was a conservative, or considered conservative, because it's so liberal over there. Mm-hmm. And when I first came to the West Coast, like, it was almost like I was considered liberal in some of my thought processes, mm-hmm. opinions. But what they do is they like to put us in those boxes, and because they like that prejudice based off of politics.
Well, it's because they like to divide us. I mean, we've been set with the government and having them divide us in one way or another for years. It's ridiculous almost, because we're supposed to be united as a people, as a nation, you know, like this is supposed to be where we can be free in who we are and everything else, but yet it's the exact opposite when you start getting under that first layer.
the left, I do feel the left does this 1,000 more times often than the right. Like, I feel like the right is more, especially in recent years, is more open to differencing of opinions, so to speak, than as concrete in the box as the left has become. You either agree or you're out. You know, you either buck in line. A lot of the, I think they're the ones that they drew the solid line. And I talked to people, especially in California, that had voted for like Obama. Do you know what I mean? And I talked to, I think, one lady that voted for Clinton in the 2016. And I don't remember if we talked about who she voted for in 2020. But like, if I hear somebody voted for Biden, I just, oh, well, hey, yeah. Well, what do you think about that? Would you change your mind? No, you wouldn't? Okay, that's your vote, your opinion. Mm-hmm. Whereas I've recently jumped on some dating apps.
Yep.
And not to bring that up, but like, you scroll through some profiles, of whatnot, and they'll put right in their profile, if you voted for Trump, keep scrolling. Like, stuff like that. Or if you're not vaxxed, not boosted, or I'm vaxxed, I'm boosted, I expect the same. You know what I mean? I think the closest thing that I saw for someone that was like, hasn't been that, I think I saw a woman, she said, I'm not vaxxed, don't push it on me. Like, it wasn't like, if you are, I don't want you talking to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think they've done a lot, the left has done a lot to basically, what's that term when they axe some kind of...
They cancel. Yeah, the cancel culture. They've grown it to a point where people are being canceled in society just based on, just normal people in society. If you don't agree with the majority, you're cast aside.
Right. And they like, I've had people delete me on Facebook. Now, I'm just talking social media, but like, I don't think I've deleted anybody based off, their post offended me or something,
Yeah. I mean, like, I've deleted people in the past if, like, their stuff is inappropriate or I feel like it crosses a line, but I don't know. I also don't keep many people on my social medias, though, anymore. I try to just keep it to the people I know.
Because you don't want those stalkers.
Yeah, I'm done with having a stalker, yeah.
Me too. My personal Facebook page, I go through it once a year and I delete people that I just don't have any real, like, daily, it doesn't have to be daily, but monthly interaction with, like those people that are just hanging on from like high school that you haven't talked to in 10 years.
I won't lie, I do keep a few problematic people on my Facebook because, I like seeing what's up. I like reading the tea.
Little drama.
Yeah, it's fun.
But what do you think about Twitter?
I never really got into the Twitter sphere. I tried, but it was never really like something that I got super into.
What about specifically with Elon Musk purchasing Twitter?
I feel like a lot of people are really upset by that right now, but at the same time, he made that money. He can spend it however he wants to, If he wanted to go out and buy the Vatican, let him. It's his money. It's not our business to tell somebody how to spend their money. I can't go down to the Walmart and be like, you can't buy that bread. I can't tell somebody to do that. And
what do you think about the left freaking out because they're like, he's all about free speech and oh my gosh, this is going to be all misinformation now. Because that's the new term for words we don't like is misinformation.
I don't quite understand why they're so upset about it. Like, they already have their free speech, so why are you upset with free speech happening. You know, this is a country where free speech is one of the great things about this country. In other countries, you can't just go and say what's on your mind anytime, anywhere, any day. And the fact that we can here is a privilege, and I don't understand why people get upset over us having a privilege. So, yeah.
Well, it's not a privilege, it's a right.
It is a right, but in other countries, you know, if you look at Korea, it's a privilege. The fact that we get to speak freely.
Oh, you mean privilege like that? Yeah. Sometimes the government uses privilege as a terminology. I think when they put freedom of speech as the First Amendment to the Constitution, that they were forming these innate rights given to us by God, like you should be able to express your opinion and your thoughts in a free town square. And that's what I think Twitter or these social media platforms have become. You know, yeah, they're private companies, but they're, in essence, are new town squares. Everything's virtual, you know. So I feel if I could go stand in front of City Hall and say something, and for some, like if the cops can't arrest me, then it should be able to be said online.
Yeah.
No matter how hurtful it is.
Yes. I feel like there is different levels of hate, though, that shouldn't be allowed.
But I think we've learned a huge lesson within the past couple of years that
we definitely have.
That line, if that line it gets drawn at all,
they start slowly inching it back. It
slowly inches back. I know we were talking yesterday about 15 years ago, you could if there was a kind of a push, you know, you had these extremist church groups and stuff holding signs up saying God hates fags, right? Hate to say it, but freedom of speech. That's what it said, and they were holding it up at soldiers' funerals, and like conservatives and people were just like, oh my gosh. And you know why they were protesting a soldier's funeral? Because he was fighting, or she was fighting for America, and America is loves like sodomy or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So there was a huge push that I almost agreed with. Like, these people should not be able to hold signs up saying that kind of stuff at a soldier's funeral who fought and died for this country. But the way that the problem was solved is a group of bikers, veteran bikers, would show up to these events and hold flags in front of them and block it so the family members wouldn't see it as they went to the funeral, you know? So I don't know where I'm going with that, but I know Canada passed laws saying that you couldn't use certain terminology and stuff like that. We never did, but look at, we still have it. If I went down the street right now and I started throwing the N-word out, right? Mm-hmm. You couldn't arrest me unless I committed a hate crime, like another crime while yelling this stuff. You couldn't arrest me. But in that town square, that privatized town square of social media, I'd get blocked.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. And some might say warranted.
No one would look at you the same.
Right, I agree. You know, like, let's block this guy that's using that word. But they have inched that to, you know, I'm not sure if this pandemic is as serious as they made it out to be. And that person that says that now gets blocked. So, I don't know. I think there needs to be some legislation to go through that says the internet or online voice or these social media platforms should not have any barriers of restriction. You can always block somebody individually if they offend you.
Yes, I get that. I get that, but like I also disagree because like I would like to see a world with less hate in it, and I feel like when there's a lot of hate going around. And so when you break those barriers, like let's say you can, with Facebook, you can no longer report the bad words, so those posts can't go away, and then your feed is just all this negativity of people calling each other bad stuff or whatever.
You individually could block them.
Yeah.
And it would be the same thing as if they get Yahoo's yelling obscenities in front of City Hall. You don't have to stand there and listen to the guy in the soapbox and say, I'm offended. You just walk away.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
I feel like there
I'm with you on that.
I feel like there definitely shouldn't be laws put in place on them, but I just feel like it should be up to people to respect the fact not to use them.
Right. And there was a woman I made a post about Twitter and Elon Musk buying it. Oh no, there was a post they said, hey, we need to bring back this age-old lesson. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Mm-hmm. And then teach that to our children. And a woman commented, she said, well, I teach my children that words have power and they shouldn't use that power to hurt others. And the way she said it, I don't know, I might have been reading it wrong, but the way she said it was like, don't teach kids to ignore the words, teach kids not to use them.
It wasn't.
But I think there needs to be a healthy combination of both.
It's not necessarily teaching that. It's teaching sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. So if you're thinking about that and you're a little kid, you're thinking, well, hell, I could call a kid whatever I want to. I can say whatever I want to them because it's just words. I'm not punching this kid, but I'm going to sit there and I'm going to call him every word in the book. That's still bullying. That's still hurting the child in a way because that takes a toll on them. No kid needs to be bullied verbally, physically, whatever it may be. And so words can be powerful.
I really just, I think it's a topic for conversation and dialogue.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it has a time and a place.
Right.
Yeah.
What should be acceptable? What shouldn't? But is this really a law-ish? Like, as far as the law goes, here's what I believe. I just figured this out. I just solved the problem. Ready?
Okay.
As far as the law goes, there should be no holds barred in the public town square and on publicly accessible social media platforms. Mm-hmm. Right? Us as a society, we can adapt societal pressure to teach our children, hey, words have power. Bullying is not okay. To really put the pressure as a society that this behavior is not accepted. Mm-hmm. But I don't think there should be laws against it.
No, I don't feel that there should be laws against it, because if some random dude comes messing around on me in the street, of course he's going to get words thrown at him. He might even get a fist thrown at him. But, doesn't mean that you shouldn't just know the time and the place on how to talk to people, who to, all of that. It all comes into context with every individual person. Because some people can handle things that other people can't. Some people, they may not even like you to use curse words, so you refrain from using those. But with other people, you're talking like a fucking sailor.
Yep, that's true. That kind of segues into the next topic that I wanted to discuss. Pronouns. Okay, so there is a trans movement. There is... I cannot deny that trans people don't exist and it's a personal choice. I do believe that there is some biological, also, I wouldn't call it chemical because that's more of an imbalance, but I would say mental pulls towards certain lifestyle things. And the reason why I have that opinion is because men that, I don't want to say act as, such a hot topic.
Transition.
I'm using my words so carefully.
Transition is the correct terminology there.
Well, no, men that act like women traditionally or whatever, or biological males that feel like they're a woman, and biological women that feel like they're a man. This has been prevalent throughout societies all over the world throughout history. So they've had different names for it and stuff like that. So this is nothing new. Some societies have accepted it, some societies haven't. What I do believe is... Where was I going with this?
I don't know.
What I do believe is that people have an individual right to make their own decision. You know, I also did some research. I didn't just blanketly say, hey, you know, trans people, it's a mental disorder and they're insane. You know, I did some research, and like there's this thing called intersex that like it's like 1% or just under 1% of babies born are born intersex, meaning they have a combination of varying degrees of both male and female. We used to call them hermaphrodite type people.
Yeah.
And the choice of what is going to be on the birth certificate is usually made by the doctor and the parents at the time of birth. That in the gay population is like 3% of babies born. 3%, right? So I can't deny the science around the issue. Where I do have an issue is coming up with 50 different pronouns and different ways of whatever. I really think it should still stay he, she. Do you know what I mean? And if you want me to refer to you as he, or, you know, if I'm talking about you to somebody, refer to you as a he, I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with that whatsoever. With me, I really try to respect people's pronouns as best as possible, whether it's he, she, they, them, he, you know, whatever, he, him. My brain had a brain fart there. But I don't really, I don't really see an issue with it. Like, with pronouns. It can get really confusing when people try to say like they, them, and stuff like that, because I don't quite know what even that is. You know, if they had a pronoun for like other things, like to specify maybe more so, but like what does... I've seen some that are just real long, real unnecessary.
Well, and here's where some of the conservative people that might be watching might be surprised at what I believe. If there's commentators out there that are like, what was it, Jenna, right? I think it was wasn't Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro. He was some interview or whatever, and he kept referring to her as him.
See, and that's not right.
Because I think at that point it does become friggin' offensive. It's like disrespectful.
That's doing it intentionally to disrespect the person. After they have already told you their pronouns, if you intentionally continue to use wrong pronouns, that is just you spitting in their face every time. Right,
and that's the way I feel. Now, vice versa, like, I have no problem if you want to be referred to as a he. I have no problem referring to you as a he. If I somehow make a mistake and I say, oh yeah, she, and you come back at me very angrily because I didn't use the right pronouns, like, back off, I'm human, I make mistakes. I'll try not to do it again, you know? So I do see a lot of anger from the trans community at society who are just... They don't mean to offend, they're just making mistakes. Hey, you know, somebody comes into the store and you say, "Is there any, good morning, sir," or whatever. And they're like, I'm not a sir, I'm a he, a she. You know what I mean? Like...
honestly, when I was a cashier, there was a lot of times where I would just, like, I would say that, like, how are you doing, sir? Or how are you doing, ma'am? Before even looking up. And I would get it wrong so many times, and they'd be like, wait, what? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was autopiloting. So
bottom line is, like, I heard this a long time ago. Take your actions seriously, but don't take yourself seriously. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of paraphrasing because it had to do with a job that I was working. All right, I'll tell you. So when I was a cop, right? Mm-hmm. My stepfather, he was a cop too. I kind of followed in his footsteps. And he said, take your job seriously. It's a serious job. You know, you're responding to calls. It's life and death. You know, it's a serious job. But don't let the seriousness of the job define you, and don't take yourself seriously. Meaning, let go of some of the ego. And later on in my career, I kind of worded it as, make sure that you wear the badge, and the badge doesn't wear you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So where I was going with that is some of these people that are so easily offended, like, really? Don't take yourself so seriously. like base people off their actions, and, don't be so easily offended by everything.
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between just someone having a simple mix-up and, afterwards catching themselves being like, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, trying to apologize for their mistakes, or, blatantly just giving them the wrong pronouns the entire time and being disrespectful.
I agree.
And, in that scenario, I'd be mad.
I would too.
I would be very mad in that scenario, and so Caitlyn Jenner had every right to be.
Still recording.
So, yeah. But there have been times I've accidentally been called sir. It happens.
It happens.
It happens.
As far as this big uproar in Florida because they don't want the kids in kindergarten through third grade to be taught about sexual identities or gender identities, I have to say I'm in full agreement. I think a lot of these, we as adults are having a conversation about these things, and it's still tough issues to understand.
Yeah, I mean,
They're very complex. So putting those in the schools with the kids and stuff like that, the only thing that I think should be taught to the kids is not gender identity, is not sexuality, is acceptance of differences.
Diversity is okay. Yeah, I fully believe that there should be children's books that have gay couples in them, whether it's mom and dad, dad and dad, mom and mom. There should be children's books that define what it's like to have step-parents or single parents. There should be children's books that define what it's like very early on for a transitioning. That way they can learn to respect it at an early age. That way they aren't running around and saying stuff. But I don't feel like it should go so deep as to teaching them, their own stuff, because they're a child. Let them figure that out in their own time. When I was in the third grade, I was not thinking about anything sexual. I had my littlest pet shops and my brat stalls, and that's all I cared about.
Yes, I agree, and I think those books should be used in the home, not in the classroom.
I feel if there's books in the classroom that show mom and dad and families and stuff like that, why can't gay and LGBTQ plus books be added to that? Not in a way of trying to push it on anyone. It's just showing that there are families like that. There are families that have two dads, because that can be hard if you go to school for the first time and everyone else has. That's
okay. I agree with you. Okay.
Sorry, I'm rambling.
No, I somewhat disagree a little bit. Here's why. I was in North Carolina and I saw one of these kids' books on sexuality. And I literally saw cartoons of two little boys blowing each other in this book. And this book was readily available in the middle, I don't know if it was middle school or elementary school. Let's just say middle school because it's not as extreme. Library.
See, and that's where it's not okay for me. I don't think that's sexually explicit.
Okay, so you're talking more about the mom and mom.
I'm talking more about like showing kids like that there's differences and like the diversity, that not everyone just has like the same cookie cutter family. Some people have two moms and that's okay. Or some people have a trans mom and that's okay. Kind of thing.
I can see that. Like, it should be taught that these people do exist.
Yes, it should be taught that these people do exist, that they are humans, they are just as loving, and they are the same as we are in this world.
And the only reason I believe in that is because if it's not shown as something that exists in society, when our children encounter it at an older age, they're shocked and they immediately go on the defensive, and that's when we have the gay bashing. That's when we have the violence against these people.
Exactly.
It's from scared people that never learned that.
Poorly educated people.
Poorly educated. You know, I was talking to a trans woman, and she said that, you know, she gets very in fear because she has been beat up before, and I don't think that's right at all. What do you think about the frogs? Oh my gosh, we gotta run.
You know, the frogs, I get it. They're scary, they're big and bad. But at this point, like, the world is gonna end. We had killer hornets last year. We've had COVID. Do
you really think? I mean, like, this is what I believe. It might be conspiracy, but I really think that they really try to push this stuff to keep everybody in fear and on their toes. Because winter of death.
I feel like the Pokemon have been released. That's what I feel like. But on a real note, if you do happen to catch one of those frogs, they do make great pets. So don't kill it, just trap it and keep it. And name him Gregory.
And then Biden administration's putting together a federal, I don't even know what it's named, but it's basically a federal task force to combat online misinformation. So how, I don't know what that's going to entail, but I imagine that it's going to be...
I haven't even heard about that one yet. That's interesting.
It's going to be in retaliation for free speech on Twitter. So stay tuned. I guess Harry Potter book or something, there was some kind of like organization that for words or something, but I don't know.
I remember that. I don't remember what it was though.
All right, so that's the world according to the bakers.
All right, well, we'll see you later.
Have a good day. Make sure you go to the website, place some cookie orders so we can, eat for a living.
Sounds good. I like a roof over my head, people.
And the t-shirts. Don't forget about the t-shirts, the Grumpy Bacon t-shirt thing.
The aprons.
It really helps. It helps support this channel, helps support this roof that was above us to do the podcast and to keep information flowing.
Heck yeah. Just swimming along.
Yes, got it. All right.